Join the chat. Let's start the show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in from. Welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour Show with myself, Lindsey Vertner, and I'm going to introduce tonight's very special guest in uno momento, por favor, okay? So, if you are new to the show, let me tell you what the Happy Hour Show is all about. This is your personal development show, so make sure that you grab a notebook and grab a pen along with your drink and take good notes, because there's going to be a lot of nuggets that you're going to need to help you get your life together, okay? It happens every single episode where our guests are just dropping gems after gems after gems, and all the gems that you can think of to help you grow personally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, professionally, all these different ways that you can grow, right? So this is your personal development show, and I'm so excited that you decided to take a moment and just have a little fun time as you learn some things about yourself, okay? So make sure that you like, love, and share this video. Comment, do all the things, because that is the internet currency that we need. When you comment, when you share, when you like it, when you love it, the internet rewards us for that. And sharing is caring. So if it's good stuff for you, it's likely good stuff for somebody on your news feed. So comment, love, share this video out. And if you are tuned in live right now as we speak, then you know what to do. Comment all the way live. Yes, yes, yes. And if you're catching the replay later on, that's all right too. Just comment replay all day, okay? We love everyone, whether you are tuning in now or later on. Just make sure that you engage and interact with the show and our very special guest. So, if you are like, who is this crazy lady talking to me right now? My name is Lindsey Vertner, and I'm an award-winning peak potential personal development strategist. And I just mixed that all up. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Peak potential strategist, aka personal development coach, transformational speaker. And what I do is I help high achieving women learn how to master their mindset and increase their clarity, confidence, connections, and cash flow. The 4 C's, okay? And we do that through the 3 pillars of self-care, self-worth, and self-discipline. And I was able to do this for myself after fully recovering from a 2007 car wreck that left me brain dead and paralyzed, amongst a whole bunch of other things. But as you can see, I'm here thriving rather than just surviving. So enough about me, honey, okay? Listen, I am super excited for you to meet tonight's guest. She is reigning in all the way from United Kingdom, and I know that you're going to love her. She has such a beautiful spirit, and she's so knowledgeable and passionate about what she does. So, Gia Lili is a UK-based ICF-accredited and certified neuroscience-based coach. She helps busy professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs all over the world. She delivers a unique, holistic, and inclusive approach to transforming every area of her clients' lives through her coaching. Gia has been featured in Business Insider, Bustle, and Business Bully TV, and she also has her own podcast. So let's welcome tonight's guest, Miss Gia Lili, to the stage. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
Yes. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited to have you on this show. I can't wait to hear all the knowledge that you're going to drop. And I know I just very quickly gave just a super brief overview, a little bit about what you do. But before we talk about how you serve the world with your amazing powers, tell us, who is Gia Lili really? Like, take us back. Give us the good tea about who is Gia Lili.
Oh, now that isn't actually as or flash, sort of as people see in real life. I'm actually quite reserved. But one thing I can say is definitely I think a lot. I'm a deep thinker, but I'm also a doer. And so within that, I find that within that deep thinking, maybe I get a little lost down the rabbit hole, but I find that I pay attention to systems. And there's always been some kind of situation in my life where I've been involved in, maybe involved in some kind of institution where I'm thinking, something's not right here. How can we make this better? So I've always been passionate about making the world a better place for everyone possible, as much as possible. So I don't know, maybe I came into this world with this kind of X-ray vision where I think, you know, I think we can optimize, we can definitely do better, but not from a critical standpoint, just so that we can lead, love, and live a better life.
Yes,
Yes.
that is amazing. So tell us, like, what were you like as a child as far as just making things better? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Okay. Gosh, that feels like forever ago. But yeah, childhood, I was pretty outgoing actually at, sort of at kindergarten. I used to make friends and it was great. I was a very happy kind of child. But like I said, a deep thinker. But when I really got to thinking, people must have thought I was really weird because they just couldn't connect with the ideas that I had or the way that I saw the world. And this
Mhm.
carried on throughout high school and, as I grew up as well. And unfortunately, as a result of that, I'm not one of these people who can just do superficial talk. It's got to be deep and meaningful. It's got to somehow change. It's got to be transformational in some way. I can't do how's the weather, right? So so as a result of that, I found that my sort of my crowd and my list of friends who I thought were friends just like started dwindling, and so there was me, kind of square peg round hole kind of situation. It's like, where they all gone? You're like, I can't be the only person who thinks this way. And so it took me a very long time to find my tribe, my people who got me and my vision and the way I saw the world and how deeply I loved as well, you know?
Yes. I want to explore that a little bit more because I think there are a
Mhm.
lot of people out in the world, a lot of viewers and listeners right now that struggle being who they are because they're not fitting into the people that they're around and they don't want to be the outcast and things like that. And I could totally get what you mean as far as not doing the small talk. Sometimes people will message me or send me an email and they'll start with this chatter and I'm just reading it like, get to the point. What do you want? Like, I don't have time for this. And I don't mean it in a rude way, but I can tell like when people are really trying to have a conversation or catch up versus when they're about to ask me for something or they want my insight on something. And it's like, okay, just cut out all the small talk chatter. Just say what you want, be direct, and let's keep it moving.
No, I totally get it. Yeah, sorry, please carry on.
No, I was just going to say, go ahead and speak to what that felt like as far as not really fitting in. Like, how did you deal with that? How did you overcome that? And then I have a follow-up question to that as well.
Okay. Well, it took me quite a long time to overcome that, because I thought, well, am I so odd, so different? And there was this sense of loneliness. So
Mhm.
actually, it took me down quite a different path in the sense that, I was this really happy child and, sort of connecting to everyone. And then as I grew older, I realized that, oh, okay, so people are very different to me and I'm very different to them, obviously at that point in time. And it got me down. I thought there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I think, well, why are all these people thinking these things? Am I weird? And so then I started questioning myself. And as a result of that, it had an impact on my self-esteem. It was like, how is anyone going to listen to what I have to say? Because nobody gets me. And I used to tell myself this story over and over. Nobody gets me. Nobody's going to understand me. So why share my problems with anyone? And so then I closed down, so it had a negative impact on my life. And then I can't even remember at what point I realized that actually I think more than anything else, Lindsey, it was like I was telling myself I cannot be the only one. I don't believe it. So I didn't buy into this thing that I am somehow this lone shark in the world. I say shark. It's quite interesting. I love sharks, by the way. Pretty scary things, but in the sense that, sharks, they go after what they want. They don't look left or right. They're just straight for the kill. And, and I had to be like that because if I wanted to get anywhere in life, unfortunately, what this ended up doing for me and well, to me at that point, but what ended up happening for me as a result of that, because there's always two sides of to the spectrum, isn't there? If you swing too far one way, it can be an extreme. If you go too far the other way, it can be a problem too. So trying to find that happy medium. So for me, being that lone shark, it was, it's like, how you get these very fiercely independent women, particularly, right? And they don't have the help and support they need. And so, oh, damn it, I'll do it myself because I can't rely on anybody else to do it. It's just me, right? So I was like that for a long time because there weren't people around me that I could truly rely on, that I could count on or lean on, to come through for me. So even if I did have people in my orbit, they didn't come through. And so as a result of that, at that point in time, I was like, well, you know what? You just might as well not be around. Like, I'm not even going to bother asking you.
Yeah.
Right? And so I went to that extreme for a while. And then I realized that actually it's a very hard, lonely path when you're doing everything yourself and it's exhausting. That just made no sense in any respect. It was so restricting, using up all your energy, doing everything yourself. And it was a slow, hard slog doing it all by yourself. And so, I finally realized that, what? I need help.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in asking for help. But then the question became, well, who do I ask for help? Who is reliable? Right? Who is reliable? Who can I count on, to support me? And so that was an entire journey within itself, you see. And I just want to share that people may be wondering, well, where's your family in all of this equation? So I will set the record straight here. Now, the thing is, I grew up away from my family. I was in boarding school. I left home when I was 12 years old. So I'd essentially grown up away from my parents and my sisters and my loved ones. And so again, sort of forced to grow up much quicker than perhaps the average person. And so I was self-sufficient from a very young age. And this is where Gia the shark was born as such, so survivor kind of thing, right? But within that, though, I did have a support network. So I knew what it was like to have supportive people. It's not that I'd never, ever did. I did. It was a process. And so because I had experience of that, because in real life, because as you know, when we have fears and beliefs and conceptions, they've all come from somewhere. Now, the question you ask yourself is this, and I hope people find this helpful who are watching. Ask yourself, Is this a perceived fear or belief? Is this something that it's just happening in my head and my mind? Or is this really founded and rooted in some real life experience that has happened to you? Have you got that belief from an experience you've actually had versus a fear that that thing might happen?
Yes, I like that. I have to put that on the screen so the folks can for sure make sure that they take that nugget away. Is this a perceived fear or belief, or is this really founded in a real life experience that I've had or that you've had? That is a great question, I think, for everyone to ask, because oftentimes we do allow our fears to hold us back. And most of the time, our fears are unfounded, like the second part of that question asked. And it's like, well, where did I get this from? And maybe it's somebody else's fear that's projected onto us. Or, maybe we've had a limited view of what it is that we're trying to achieve. And so, let's say 5 people from our hometown have tried to make it in the Big Apple and all 5 of them failed. And so now you feel like, oh, well, I can't try because I'm going to fail like the other 5, and so many different things. So that is a great question to ask. And you mentioned, finally finding your tribe. So what advice would you give to the person out there that doesn't feel like they have a tribe and they feel like they're the outcast and, that they are the weird one?
Okay. Well, let me tell you, in the world of entrepreneurship, there are plenty of weirdos. There are plenty of weirdos. You are right at home. So it's a case of where, we really need to change the script inside our mind. Whatever we say that we're doing or not doing, I must be the only one, or I can't do this, or I can't have that. Take a look at your language, because everything that you are saying to yourself, you are reinforcing. And so the thing is, if you say something for long enough, your brain will actually believe you, and it will continue to reinforce that. And if the thing is, it's not your eyes that see things, it's your brain that essentially sees things, right? So when we have a perception of something, it's actually coming from inside your mind. It's not your eyes showing you, it's your brain telling you where to look based on what you believe.
Yes.
So
that is so true.
Yes, and the great news is that because it's your brain telling you where to look, you have the power and the ability to shift the attention of what your brain is telling you to look at.
Yes. One thing that I always say is where your focus goes, your energy flows. And to be very mindful of the things that you're focusing on and the things that you're telling yourself out loud and in your head, because that is where your focus is going to go. That's where your energy is going to flow. And you're going to attract more of that into your life. And that's your reality. And, we often fall into those self-fulfilling prophecies because we thought it, and oh, poof, now it's true. If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and our very lovely guest, Miss Gia Lili. And in a moment, we are going to find out what is in her cup. But she wants to have a little fun. And you guys know I'm always down for the fun. So before we officially start that segment, I need for everybody to just take a guess at what do you think is in Gia Lili's cup, okay? So you've heard her talk a little bit already. Maybe you've kind of gotten a feel for her personality, and put in the comments what you think is in her cup, and she's going to have a prize for one lucky commenter. So make sure that you do that. And I'm going to give you just a little bit more time before we get to that part, because I'm going to ask another question. So you mentioned about moving away at 12 because you had to go to boarding school. And so your family was supportive of you. But when you went to boarding school, you were away from your family. And that's whenever you felt like the odd one out. And, these people aren't like me, and finding your tribe and things like that. So what would you say is some good advice for those that have moved away from their
Mhm.
support system and now they're trying to navigate and figure out, okay, how do I maintain when my support system is so far away?
Well, what I would definitely say is, don't lose touch. Absolutely. Stay in contact with your parents, your loved ones, your sisters, your brothers, whoever it may be. And obviously, if you had a solid relationship with them before you went away, it might not be such an issue. But look, life is fast. It's busy. We are horribly distracted very, very quickly. So time just slips away. So if you think that, you'll be able to keep in touch and you don't have to make an effort, I'll be perfectly transparent. I even have I have it logged into my phone. I even set alarms to tell me, phone your mom, call your sister, what have you, right? Because it's so easy. An entire week will go by and you don't even realize it. So this is what I mean. In the world filled with distractions, make sure that you are putting your focus on what is important to you. And if your relationships are important to you, if your family is important to you, make sure that you are, even if you have to, schedule it into your diary, for goodness sake, so that you have that connection and that continuity going.
Yes, that's what you got to do. And don't be ashamed if you got to schedule it, folks, okay? We have to do what we got to do. And like Miss Gia Lili said, it's easy for life to just happen. And next thing we know, it's like, oh my goodness, wait, a whole week went by since I've last talked to my best friend or my mom or whomever it is. I actually just had that happen earlier this week where I was like, wait a minute. It's done been a couple days since I done heard from my mama, and my mom is the type to call every day. So if she ain't called me at least once in a day, then it's like, okay, mom, what's going on? You must be having fun somewhere. But she can sometimes get busy just as much as I'm busy. And so, I called her up and I was like, hey, just calling. And so whenever we need to set those reminders, don't feel bad about doing it because it happens to us all. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So listen, y'all, this is time for a fun little game that I like to
call What's in your cup?
Yes, if you are new to the Happy Hour Show, this is the part where we find out what's in your cup. So first, Gia Lili is going to share what is in her cup, and she'll give us some cup cam. I'll share mine, and you put in what you are drinking in your cup at home, wherever you are, down in the comments, okay? So if you have a guess for what Miss Gia is drinking before she reveals it, now is the time to let us know. See, can you figure it out? Can you give them a little hint?
Ooh, it's a feeling. It's a feeling.
Oh, it's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
What drink goes with a feeling? When I hear that, I think of a wine because I feel like people get in their
It's in the
when they're
okay.
drinking wine.
It's in the name. It's in the name. I've already said it.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
see, look, I still don't know. So listen, the suspense is killing me. It's killing me. Go ahead, Miss Gia, and tell us what's in your cup.
Okay. So this is what we have. It is passion fruit
Oh,
juice. It's a
I didn't
feeling,
even
right?
think passion fruit at all.
Passion fruit juice. Now, as it's like 2:30 or something in the morning, I wasn't gonna go extra with what I would normally drink, but let's build it up a bit because We want it to be exciting. And I know that you like to give recipes and share recipes, Lindsey. I've been watching, right? So I thought, I can't give it, what can you do? Like there's no recipe for passion fruit juice. So I'm going to spice it up a little bit for you. But so what I would normally do with this, I don't have the ingredients in the house, that's why we're not having it today. But what we would do, right? What we would normally do is I would go, let's say, so we've got a highball tumbler here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we fill this up about halfway with passion fruit juice. And then we would top up more or less, let's just say up until the level where we've got it now, with like a club soda, or for my Brits, a lemonade, because it's got to be nice and fizzy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lemonade. I know lemonade is not a sparkling drink in the US. I was so disappointed when I found that out. What are you guys doing? Anyhow, so so far we've got the club soda or lemonade mixed in with the passion fruit juice, and then we are going to add almost to the top, let's say, of a shot or two of strawberry juice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're going to add some slices of strawberry and a sprig of mint in there as well.
I'm trying to type this up here. Add a splash of strawberry juice.
Uh-huh.
And then what'd you say? Then add a sprig of mint?
Slices of strawberry and a sprig of mint.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
and that
nice.
and that is your strawberry passion mocktail.
And for those that like a little party in your cup, you can change that strawberry juice to some rum or some vodka, tequila, whatever.
Exactly. Well, when I was looking at this, because I've made this up, but I believe there is actually something out there. Now, if you wanted party in your cup, you would actually add vodka.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the best one to go with that
Okay, that is even better. Let me change that, and a sprig of mint. My husband, he likes mint in his drink.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I ran out of room here. I want y'all to see this recipe on the screen so that you can take a screenshot of it. And for my audio listeners, so just to recap, a passion fruit mocktail, and if you're feeling kind of fancy, you can put vodka. I'm about to say rum because I like rum over vodka if I'm going to drink. So I almost said rum, but so you'll fill your glass about halfway with the passion fruit juice, and then almost to the top, you'll fill it up with club soda or lemonade. I probably would pick lemonade or Sprite.
Yeah,
and
right.
That sounds good. Then here's where you can get fancy. Add a splash of strawberry juice to keep it kosher, or if you want to have some party, add a splash of vodka, a shot or two of vodka, and garnish it with strawberry slices and a sprig of mint. And there you have your passion fruit mocktail. Compliments of the lovely Gia.
There we go.
Yes. Over here in my cup. So I do not have a party in my cup today. And I actually have a very healthy drink. And I'm on this juice cleanse right now, just, helping my energy, feeling kind of sluggish and lethargic and all of that stuff. And so I was like, all right, we need a body reset. And so I just started my juice cleanse today. And today I have an organic green devotion juice. It has celery, cucumber, spinach, romaine, kale, lemon, and parsley. No added sugars or anything like that. 100% juice. And yeah, I've been on this same juice for a little bit of time because I feel like I'm drinking pickle juice. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was a child, I had some random strange moments where I was like, let me drink this pickle juice. But on today, I don't want to drink pickle juice. And this is what it kind of reminds me of, because there's no added anything. It's just all of those juices. And It even kind of smells a little sour. So I feel like I'm just drinking pickle juice right now. And I'm like, okay, I got to finish this so I can move on to the next drink. And do you know what this is from? I don't know if this is like,
Oh, wow. What you talking about, Willis? I love that show.
yeah,
Yes, I used to love that show as
yeah.
a
I didn't
kid
know if
growing
there
up.
would be like a cultural difference with that show or
Different
not.
strokes. I loved it. Different strokes. Yeah, we loved that in our house. That's Arnold. Yeah, we used to love this.
Oh, take a sip of
So good.
mine. So, if you're just tuning in, you can still put in the comments what you are drinking on in your drink. Meanwhile, let's get back into this discussion here on the Happy Hour Show with tonight's guest, Miss Gia Lili. Yes, yes, yes. So, we just started talking about, you know, that support and when you have to move away and when you're feeling outside of the box and things like that. And there was one other question that I wanted to ask you because you mentioned that eventually you found your tribe. So, what advice would you give to the viewers or listeners who haven't found their tribe? How can they be effective in finding their tribe while being themselves?
Oh, this sounds like a logistic question, but I think you've covered it really. Like when you truly become more comfortable with being yourself and just being wild and wacky, or whatever that looks like for you, just being you, no holds barred, warts and all that good stuff. And then people obviously will endear themselves to your people will endear themselves to you, and they'll make it known. I've got some really amazing friends, and they are wild and wacky, and I love their wacky. So absolutely, I think it's more like when you really show up and shine your light and say, hey, this is me, and it's like you're giving others the permission to do that as well. Say, hey, she doesn't think I'm weird. I can be as weird as you like. Let me tell you something. I remember if I had a dollar for every time somebody said to me, Gia, you might think this is weird, but right, I'd be a billionaire. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd be a billionaire twice over if I heard the term, or like heard the phrase from them, wow, you get me. And when you've got that, you found your people. When you feel so comfortable and at ease to talk about anything, and I mean anything, that's your person, or they're your people. In terms of how to go about finding them, start with weird hobbies. For that's a great place to start. If you're a Trekkie or whatever, find those people first. You know that you're going to automatically get people who think similarly to you, or have similar weird interests, let's say. That's a good
Mm-hmm.
starting point. That's definitely a good starting point. But when we let go of, and let's go a little bit deeper here, when we let go of the fear of feeling judged, and letting go of the fear of potentially being ridiculed for who we truly are, it's the internal work that needs to happen first. I can give strategies and tips all day long, but really it starts with the self.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be so comfortable being you first. Everything else follows after that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I talk about living your first class life, and part of that is being you boldly
Mm,
and unapologetically walking as who you are, flaws and all. Because,
yeah.
like you said, when you show up as you, like, you might have some people around you that think is weird, but the ones that really care about you and your relationship, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
embrace that weirdness. And then
Exactly.
what happens is whenever you are being authentically you, you attract more people that actually like those things. I remember I was having a conversation actually just last week, I think, and a friend, she had posted something kind of crazy, and I had sent laughing emojis, and she was like, "Oh no, I didn't scare you off, did I?" And I was like, "Girl, no." Like, hello, let's have a hug, a virtual hug. Like, it is absolutely fine. I love you because you are unapologetically who you are. And that's why I'm going to still be here. Like, girl, that didn't scare me.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Of when I think it's sad, really, because we have these societal pressures. It's like you've got to be a certain way, you've got to have it all together, and if you don't, somehow you feel like you're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where my perfectionism came in when I was younger as well. Like especially like after I'd had a life-changing event. I developed um, an autoimmune disease, and it was really quite aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, I'd actually had life-saving surgery. And so, my body changed as a result of that. And the way that I saw myself changed as well. Again, a whole mindset thing came in, it kind of screwed with my head. It's like, okay, well, my image has changed. I've physically changed. And that was really hard to sort of get over.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember why I went here, but it was important. Oh, I know. Yeah. So it's more like, really the way that we see ourselves and, being comfortable and sort of being in love with who we are. Like you say, warts and all, scars and all, whether you've had, your body altered as a result of having children, whether it's life-saving surgery, whatever the case might be, you might have had an accident, God forbid. There are all sorts of reasons why an alteration might take place in your life. And if it happens to affect your physical appearance, we become more self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that self-consciousness, somehow we feel like perhaps we're not worthy enough to be loved anymore because we have physically changed.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so important to recognize within ourselves because the beliefs that we have, it drives our behaviors. And so we have to know that we're worthy of everything. And I'm actually glad you went into that story because my next question I was going to ask you to tell us about, your journey through figuring
Mm-hmm.
out just who you were with being diagnosed with Crohn's disease at the age of 19.
Mm.
And you had a whole bunch of changes, just like smack you in the face. And so, what advice would you give to the viewers and listeners that have something that they didn't ask for, just literally thrown up on them, as far as finding their way, identifying their purpose, just whatever you have?
First of all, I would say, like with any major change, first of all, allow yourself the space to grieve.
Mm,
And when I say allow yourself the space to grieve, this is about understanding that you are going through or have just gone through a major life transition. And you realize that life isn't going to be the same as it was before.
mm-hmm,
And so understanding that things have got to change. Now, again, mindset came into it. It's like, by all means, grieve for the fact that things are changing and we can't turn the clock back in that sense, right? Especially when there's a physical change. But what you can do is give yourself, like you say, the space to heal. And also, after that, working out, or even like having those conversations with yourself and saying, well, what do I want to experience now? So this is what life looks like now, but
mm-hmm,
what can it look like? What do I want it to look like? And so if you're holding on to some kind of future vision of what you want your life to be, you can still have that potentially. Now, obviously, it depends on what's happened and what your dreams were. But what I want to say is this: there are so many roads that lead to your desired outcome.
Mm.
And when you remember that there are many roads that lead to your desired outcome, it means that you have the opportunity and the choice to be able to go a different route. And that's okay.
Yes, yes. I like that because sometimes we can get so narrow-minded and, just focused on one thing. And if it doesn't work out like that, we want to give up. We want to throw ourselves a pity party. And we think that
Yeah.
it's never going to work out just because it didn't come exactly as we planned. It didn't pan out exactly as we pictured it in our minds. And so we often have to go back and remind ourselves that, wait a minute, this one plan didn't work. But there are all these other roads, all these other pathways, all these other directions and reroutes that we can take to get to that same destination. It makes me think of like a GPS. We put in where we are now, we put in where we want to go, and then we start going. And if we miss a turn, it doesn't yell at us or scream at us. We do that ourselves, like, dang it, I missed the turn. But the
Very
GPS
true.
doesn't do that. It just says rerouting.
Exactly. I love how you put that. And it's so true. We just recalibrate.
Mm-hmm.
We might need to change our vision a little bit. We might need to, right? And that's okay, because our visions do change as we move along our path anyway, regardless of whether there's a challenge or not. We don't know what's going to happen, and we just navigate through life accordingly. But what we don't want to do is to sit back and just resign ourselves to a suboptimal life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for that. Just because things aren't working out the way you want them to, just as you said, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work out at all, or that you can't have something better.
Right.
Gia the shark always says that or better.
Yes, yes. That is a favorite quote, that or better. And that is a great phrase. So I'm so glad that you brought that up, because oftentimes what happens is that when we don't get that exactly how we planned it, we settle for less. And then we're unfulfilled and we're resentful, but we don't like to admit that we're resentful, but it shows up in our attitudes and our energy and our behaviors, and we only further push away that we truly desire, and we think that, oh, this is all I'm going to get, and it starts to diminish our sense of self-worth a little bit. And so I love that you said that or better, because we absolutely can have that, and oftentimes God wants to give us better, even more than that. And so we just have to be willing to pivot whenever we need to pivot, and be open to all kinds of things from, all different sources, because we never know who or where or what that thing is going to come from.
No, exactly. And if I'd like to share a story, if I may, which really ties
Yes.
in with this. And it just really reminded me of like when I first got the diagnosis at 19. I'd just come to university because I'd finished boarding school, and at that point, actually, my college exams, I ended up in hospital. That's where I got the diagnosis. That was the first time I had my first life-saving surgery. And this crazy cat over here, right, actually negotiated with the consultant, the consultant surgeon, for her to finish her exams. Yep. Yep. I was in the side room of a hospital ward wing doing my exams so that I could get into university. Crazy cat, right?
Yes, yes.
I managed to persuade him. We had a deal. He was monitoring me every day, and he said to me, "Look, Gia, if your vitals change ever so slightly in the direction I don't want them to, I'm stopping your exams." I said, "Okay, doc, we got a deal." Well, suffice it to say, like 6 weeks later, I got my exam results. I'd passed, and Southampton University wanted me. So, obviously they were aware of the situation. They said, "Yep, we want you." And so I went away to university. Yeah, right. And so what had happened essentially was that I actually came to Southampton University to study Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned Spanish. That was my degree because I wanted to go into the travel industry.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know that being in the travel industry isn't the best place to be right now, right? But back then, because I speak quite a few languages, and I thought, well, I could use my language skills for interpreting and traveling and all sorts of things. I had the whole world open to me essentially through the route of using my languages. But having that diagnosis and it being as volatile as it was, I almost lost the battle 5 times along the way. But what that really taught me was that, I was going to go down the route of, sort of the travel and tourism industry. Thank goodness I did not. What I ended up doing instead was, again, I tried my hand at being in the field of social work. So I went back to university. And that didn't work out either. But what it taught me was that, I knew that I was meant to help others to lead, love, and live a better life. And so because I'd been through so much myself, what I did learn was how to optimize the time that I had, because I had periods of wellness and periods of illness. It was a fluctuating thing. So I never knew. So at a moment's notice, I could have relapsed. And so during that relapse time, I couldn't do anything. But once I came out of it, that was it. I was a bullet. I was doing all these things. I was like super active all over again because I was living on this, essentially like on this adrenaline all that time, essentially. It's like, okay, so I don't know how long I've got, but I'm just going to go for it. Right. And obviously that you can't sustain that over a long period of time. That's not healthy for your body. But what I learned during those bursts of activity, what I got really good at refining as I went along, was how to be more efficient and more productive in an optimized way in which I could enjoy life and still feel like I was making progress and had some kind of meaning and purpose to my life by supporting others too.
Yes.
So I just wanted to share that.
That was a great share. And can you share like your top tips for being more productive in an optimizing way?
Top 10 tips? Oh, wow.
No. Not tip. Your top tip.
Top tips. Okay. I was like, well, Lindsey, you're making me work hard tonight.
No.
I prefer to work smart rather than hard.
Yes.
But, that's all part of the thing. It's really interesting because, like, what area are we looking at, or what area of life? Give me a clue here, because I could be here all day. So, are we talking about particularly in business? Are we talking about in life, in relationships? Where are we going?
I know that you work with a lot of entrepreneurs and business professionals and things like that. So let's talk about the top tip as far as balancing your business with like your personal life.
Well, first of all, I am going to say that there is no such thing as balance. Sorry, guys. Really no such thing. So if you are chasing that myth, please stop. It's exhausting and it's just wasting your time. So first of all, look, I've just saved you a whole ton of time right there by telling you that. All right. Yeah. So I've just saved you time and stress and hassle. So that's the first tip.
That was great.
But the other thing really is to, do you know when your peak performance times are? Are you aware of where you are at your most productive in a day? Because it's really important to understand. Some of us are night owls as such. Some of us are more productive in the mornings. And the other thing is, obviously, is like, if you're working on your business, please take breaks. It's like, do not be the slave to your laptop and you just be working all the way through the day, because I bet you're finding that you're not getting as much done as you would like to for all the time that you're putting in. Really review how much productivity has come from the time that you've actually spent doing something. So just be aware, be mindful of the things that you are actually doing in your business.
Yes, and that is so good. I often have my clients do like a time audit to
Yep.
identify exactly, okay, you think you're only on social media for 5 minutes, but really you've been on there for 10 hours in a day. And that doesn't mean that social media is bad. I'm on social media every day, but I also run my business on social media. It's just about, we often complain we don't have time for this or we don't have time for that. And it's not that we don't have time, it's just how are you allocating your time? How are you prioritizing your time? Because you're probably spending more time doing things that you don't need to be doing and less time doing the things that matter.
Yes, exactly. And I want to share a little productivity hack for your audience today. And as
Please
we're talking
do.
about wasting time, as we're talking about sort of wasting time, what I'd like you all to think about is, where do you know you're wasting time? So I'll give an example, right? I know that I drag my feet when it comes to writing emails. I hate writing emails with a passion. I really do. Right. So what I do is I set a timer, and, I say to myself, like, okay, I've got, and if I've got quite a few emails, so you might want to chunk it out however fits with your schedule. But what I tend to do is, like, I will give myself 30 to sometimes 45 minutes. And as soon as I hit that clock, I am not doing anything else but writing emails. As soon as that alarm goes off, I can't focus on anything else. Remember, I haven't got time to procrastinate or hate on the fact that I've got emails. I just got to get on and do them. And so literally, I am racing against the clock. And if you are the kind of person who's motivated by, the adrenaline rush, you are against the clock right now. So you've got to be in action. You've got to take action now. There's no excuse. Right?
Yes.
So time yourself. That's a really good way, if you're that way inclined, to get you sticking to your task and getting that horrible thing that you don't like doing done. If you're not in a position to outsource a task that you hate doing, then you've got to be really disciplined with the amount of time that you're personally spending doing those tasks.
That is so good, because what I found is that a lot of times whenever we do that, set that timer and block out all the other distractions. So put your phone on do not disturb, close out all the other tabs and everything like that. We actually end up most of the time getting it done even faster. So we'll set it for 45 minutes and be like, oh, this usually takes me 2 or 3 hours. But then when we've cleared out all of those distractions and we're focused and we're laser focused, then it's like, oh, shoot, I knocked this out in 20 minutes. Now I've got an extra 25 minutes that I can go and do something that I enjoy, or I can move on to the next task.
Exactly. And that's what I do. It's great. Make it a game, make it fun. Say, well, the faster I get this done, I can spend, that extra time doing something else. Just as you said, Lindsey, it's something enjoyable as well, right? Otherwise, if you're working all the time, all work and no play makes Gia a very dull person. So it's true. So what I love to do, in those instances, either I'll listen to music or I'll even have a dance break. Right?
Yes.
Because that brings me joy.
Yes.
And so, and it lifts your mood as well. Like if you've got a long day, make sure that you're taking time to do something you enjoy in that process as well.
Listen,
anyway, back to you.
No, this is great. This is all about you today, highlighting you and your wonderful knowledge. And if you're just tuning in, you basically missed it. So make sure you go back and watch the replay, because we are at the top of the hour. It goes by so fast, especially when it's good talk like this. But before we go, we have 2 more questions for the lovely Gia. I am always talking about creating your first class life, which means walking boldly and unapologetically in who you are, flaws and all. It's about shedding away all those different masks that we wear when we wake up in the morning. We put on that mask of shame, fear, doubt, guilt, all of those things. And we try to live up to other people's expectations, but instead you are being you and unapologetic about that. You are intentional about creating your life as best as you can. You're intentional about creating happiness in every moment that you can and truly walking in your purpose. And so I have to ask all of my guests my signature question: how are you intentionally creating happiness in your life?
Oh, I love that question. How am I intentionally inviting happiness in my life? Okay. So for me, I've already mentioned it actually. It's the fact that I love to make time and the space to dance.
Mm-hmm.
That's my happy place, because for me, dancing is um it's almost spiritual. It's like a way for me to connect with my inner self and my soul. I know we haven't sort of talked about the spirituality side, but now we can, because that's where I feel really close and connected to my inner being and my creativity. Nobody knows this, but I will share with you and the world now that I
Ooh.
essentially, I like when I'm really in the zone, like I can create entire choreographies in my head, and I will do whatever I can to recreate them, like through movement. I love it, Um, when I was, and this is one of the things that actually spurred me on to start walking again. I had physiotherapists like helping me to walk. I was like, no, I'm not getting up to walk. I'm doing this to start dancing again. That was
Mm,
my motivator, because
yeah.
so that's my source of joy and connection and creativity. It's like I've noticed that when I don't do that in a day, um, it really changes my entire day and even my mood. So
Mhm.
I've got to move. And it's a very intuitive, like I said, spiritual experience for me. So that's how, I create happiness in my life. That's a feeling.
Yes, I love that. I love that because I love dancing as well. Excuse me.
Mm.
Especially whenever I can get in a good exercise as I'm dancing,
Yes,
because I don't like exercising, but if it's disguised as dancing, then it's like,
hmm,
okay, I'm down for it. And my daughter,
totally.
she is a dancer. Like whenever we go out,
Amazing.
she's just a twirling and flipping and moving like down the aisles of the grocery store. And like
Amazing.
people will smile and laugh whenever they watch her, and she's just in her own little world.
Yeah.
I'm like, Carmen, come on. So I love, love, love that. And I love that you mentioned that was your motivation to walk again, not walking again, but being able to dance again. And I want to point
Yeah.
out for the viewers and listeners, that's why it's important to identify your why, to identify what drives you to achieve
Yeah.
the goal that you're looking to achieve. Because if you're doing it for someone else, it's going to be short lived. If you're doing it for someone else, you're not really going to get the full impact of the journey that you are on. And so it's important to find your motivation, and that's what's going to push you and keep you going, so that you can achieve that goal, and likely in a faster time frame than if you don't. So this has been an amazing conversation. Please tell everyone how they can connect with you, where they can reach out if they have more questions. Just let them know where they can find Miss Gia Lili.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook. I hang out on Facebook quite a bit. I'm also on LinkedIn and on Instagram. At present, it's at Coach Gia Lili. I think you see it there on the screen. So that's how you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I believe it's the same on LinkedIn as well. So those are my three main platforms. I am coming to Clubhouse. Watch out.
Hey, yes, I am on Clubhouse. We'll definitely have to connect.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's how you can find me. If you have any questions at all, if you'd like to know anything more about what I do and how I can possibly support you, please reach out.
Yes. All right, y'all. You heard it. So if you are watching with your eyes, take a screenshot. If you're listening with audio, you just heard from Gia Lili. She is a high performance consultant and life strategist. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram at Coach Gia Lili. That's at Coach COACH Gia GIA Lili LILI. So please make sure you reach out and connect. Do you have any final words of advice for the viewers and listeners?
Oh, wow. Thank you again, Lindsay, for this amazing opportunity. I'm going to share with the viewers, they don't know this, but like I've been connected to you for quite a while now. And like it's always been a desire of mine to have this kind of conversation, like have this kind of connection with you. So I've actually had like one of my things like ticked off my wish list as such. So this is amazing. Um,
Yeah.
don't stop dreaming and visualizing for what you want. Don't be afraid of the obstacles that get in your way. I can definitely share more about how you can do that because, self-talk will only get you so far. We have to remember that, having a brain, we have mechanics, right? We're essentially, uh, we're sophisticated robots. So what I'm really saying here is like there are systems and there are ways to override our safety and our factory settings to a certain degree. So remember, all things are possible, and you are able to achieve what you really want to achieve. Let's not let's not allow your brain's physiology or even your mindset get in the way of what you truly want.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So you're not the victim, you're the victor.
Uh-huh. Woo, woo, woo.
That's
Amen.
it.
Round of applause to that. All right, folks, that is a wrap for this episode of the Happy Hour Show. You just heard all of the amazingness from the lovely Gia Lili. Make sure that you go back and watch the replay so you can catch all those notes that you missed because, I'm sure you missed something. It happens every time. And make sure you still comment, love, share this video out so that others can enjoy her beautiful knowledge as well. And make sure that you sign up for happy hour updates at bit.ly/happy updates. Again, that's bit.ly/happy updates so that you can stay tuned on all things happy hour. And sometimes our guests like to give a little happy hour special, but only if you're on the VIP list. So bit.ly/happy updates. Meanwhile, we're here every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time through September for season 3. We're almost coming to a wrap, so make sure that you are tuned in. It has been my pleasure to be here with you. I know that you can be doing anything in the world, but you have spent the last hour with us here on the Happy Hour Show. And with that, I bid you farewell. Bye.
Bye, everyone.